An ion is a charged particle. Anything with a positive, negative charge is an ion. So it's the big category for polyatomic ions and monoatomic ions. And those are the subcategories. Monoatomic, mono meaning one, atomic, one atom. And then there's polyatomic, which means more than one. And a polyatomic ion, an example of it might be CO3 with a -2 charge, whereas a monoatomic ion might just be nickel with a +2 charge. So those are the two subcategories under ions. Both of them are considered to be ions because they have a charge to them. The reason why this is considered polyatomic, the carbonate, is because it has carbon and it has oxygen, so it has more than one element in it, so it's poly. It also has more than one atom. So monoatomic, mono means one, atomic ion is one atom with a charge. And polyatomic ion is more than one atom with a charge. Now, down below, there's binary and there's ternary. Those are categories of molecules or compounds. Binary refers to two elements. So these are for compounds, meaning more than one element in them. A ternary compound has 3 or more elements. So an example of a binary might be NaCl, whereas a ternary might be sodium nitrate, where it has 2 elements, sodium and chloride for a binary, and then a ternary has more than 2 elements. Molecular and ionic compounds. Ionic is when you have a positive and negative ion that stick together. And the positive one is the metal. Now, nonmetals and metals can be determined by looking at the periodic table. So, on the periodic table, the nonmetals are found. Anything that is inside of this box is considered to be a nonmetal. And anything, for the most part, outside of this box is a metal. So metals, the first thing to look at is a non-metal. If it's not in there, you can usually conclude it's a metal. A molecular compound is composed of 2 nonmetals that are bonded to each other. an example would be carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. So when you find that on the periodic table, you've got carbon that's a nonmetal and oxygen that's a nonmetal. Those two are bonded to each other, so that's considered a molecular compound. Now, an example of an ionic compound might be something like manganese oxide. And the manganese is found over in the metal section, and the oxygen is found over in the non-metal section. So when a metal and a non-metal combine, it's an ionic compound. The last thing, the reason why atoms are neutral is because even though they have positive and negative charge inside them, is because there are the same number of protons as electrons. And a proton is positively charged and an electron is negatively charged, so they cancel each other. And so if there's equal numbers, then you end up with a neutral atom. If you have 4 positive charges and 4 negative charges, the atom ends up having no charge. And most stable compounds end up with a neutral